Palm fronds were flying through the air between torrents of slanted rain. Howling winds grabbed the metal signs and heaved them across the highway. And Sherry and Laura Lee were the only ones on the road. Sherry reached over and grabbed her little girl's hand and held on to it. Evacuation orders had gone into effect the day before. This was going to be the worst one yet. Probably a Category 4 coming in over the warm waters of the Gulf, they said. But Sherry was a Florida cracker. She knew you couldn't really predict a hurricane. Here and there, she saw little specks of light and thought, probably some old-timers didn't pay no mind to the orders to leave. Electricity must still be on around here. And sure enough, just up ahead, they saw the illuminated sign, Flamingo Motel. It looked like a good place to stop. It was just a stretch of rooms overlooking a cracked-up parking lot. The center doorway had a sign that said, "Office," and boasted of its 10 accommodating suites. And Sherry thought, ain't but about 15 feet between these doors, hardly a suite. Laura Lee peered in through the door. No one's in there, Mama. It looks empty. And just then a bolt of lightning cracked across the sky, and Laura Lee went running down the strip, jiggling each doorknob in turn. And then she stopped. Mama, Mama, come, this one's open. Sherry rushed over to her little girl. And sure enough, they went in. The room was just like she thought it would be. A shoebox of a little space. Some old carpeting on the floor, an indiscriminate color, maybe once brown, maybe green, it was hard to tell. King-size bed pushed up against the wall. Clock radio and a TV, both of them were bolted down. At the far end was a little bathroom with cigarette burns on the counter and a prefabricated shower stall that bore the yellow stains of sulfured well water. Sherry tried to mask her disdain. Looks like a good place to wait. Okay, Mama. Will someone come? Sure, honey, someone will come. She sat down on the bed and Laura Lee climbed up on her lap. Another bolt of lightning cracked across the sky, and the blue light of the clock radio flickered twice, and all the lights went out. They sat in silence. Time passed slowly. Sherry's thoughts drifted back to that terrible night. It was a motel a lot like this one. It was called Home for the Night Hotel. But there was nothing homey about it, and they'd torn it down since. But, Mama, listen, someone's coming. And they heard the roar of an engine and the growl of a faulty muffler. A battered white cargo van made a lazy circle around the parking lot and backed up to the curb. It sat there motionless for a minute. Then both doors opened simultaneously and two men jumped out into the cover of the overhang and glanced around. Bubba and Ned. Bubba, his real name was Mervyn, But he earned his nickname the day he was born into this world, weighing 11 pounds, 4 ounces. And now, at the age of 24, woe be to any family member who inadvertently let that name Mervyn slip out from between their lips. Except Granny, of course. He towered over his cousin Ned, a young boy, 17, who both feared and admired Bubba. "Did you bring the trash bags?" "Yes, I did, Bubba. I paid attention to everything that you said." "Good. Just come with me." They went to room number 1. It only took him a moment to jimmy the lock. He shone his flashlight. "See? There they are, just like I told you. Got 'em in every room. TV, clock, radio. I'll get the TV, you get the clock, radio." They took out their tools and unbolted the pieces, covered them with the plastic bags, ran them back into the van. Then they went to room number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. When they got to the office, they peered in. "Probably a computer in there, could be some cash. We'll make this our last stop." And they went on to room number 8. Sherry and Laura Lee were sitting on the bed. They watched as the doorknob slowly turned and the door opened. Bubba went right over to the television and got to work, but Ned, he stopped just inside the doorway. "Ned, what you waiting for? Go get the clock radio." But Ned didn't move. "Ned! Ned!" Oh. Well, well, well. What have we here? A woman and a little girl, Bubba. "You idiot, I can see that." "Looks like witnesses to me." And he put his hand in his pocket, and he pulled out a gun. "Bubba, you ain't going to shoot him." "Well, what do you think I'm going to do? Leave him here to talk about us? It's just an unfortunate truth of the job. I mean, they even got a name for it, compatible damage. It mean it don't count." And he raised his hand and started to take aim at the woman. But that little girl, she was so fast. She was up and flying at him. She only came up to his waist, but she must have knocked his hand just as that gun went off. It exploded in the air, and there was a thud, and Ned was lying on the ground. There was blood coming out of his head. "Ned, say something. Get up, Ned. Ned, talk to me, you idiot. Ned." Ned was gone. "Why, you snot-nosed little brat, I ain't going to have no problem shooting you dead." Where was his gun? And where was the woman? He spun around. She was right behind him. She had the gun in her hand. He lunged at her. The gun went off. Bubba fell to the ground, and Sherry rushed over to her little girl and held her in her arms. Sherry was right. The storm was bad, but not as bad as they said it was going to be. By next afternoon, folks were returning to their homes. They weren't so surprised to see the parking lot of the Flamingo full of police cars. And they weren't too unhappy to hear about Bubba. He was a mean spirit, and everyone knew that. But they said it was kind of too bad about Ned. He wasn't really a bad boy at heart, just kind of under Bubba's spell. The detective who worked the crime scene, he wasn't surprised either. Hurricanes always brought out looters, no telling how many of them there were the night before. Must have been some kind of quarrel. These two wound up dead. In the meantime, Sherry and Laura Lee went back to that stretch of highway where Home for the Night Hotel once stood. Mama, do you suppose them's fellas was the ones who shot us dead over here? No, Laura Lee. That happened a long time ago. These boys was way too young for that. But it don't matter, do it? No, Mama. I suppose it don't.